Power to Speak the podcast with my gorgeous guest today, Janine Coombes. And Janine, you are a must-have offer expert.
Yes,
So
let's call me that.
let's
Thank you
call
for
you
having
that.
me, by the way.
You are more than welcome, and I'm very, very, very pleased that you're here. I like the fact that on your LinkedIn you've put you are the chief offer creation genius.
Yes.
Maybe break it down for us a little bit. Just tell us a little bit about what that means and what it means to your clients.
Well, let's try and put it in a nutshell. I've been running my own business for nearly 5 years now, and when I first started, I had all this baggage from corporate and perfectionism, and wanted to hit the ground running, and completely overwhelmed by all the social media and the content marketing, and everything was being sold as it's all new. Everything you know about marketing is wrong. It's dead. It's gone. It's time for a new way to do things. And it wrong-footed me completely. I jumped into the social media. I set myself up on every single social media platform there is, because I thought if I'm going to help people with marketing, they're going to expect a marketer to know everything. I mean, who's meant to know everything about any specialist topic? It's just ridiculous. But anyway, that's what I put on myself. I jumped into the trying to build an audience, and I jumped into the being on social media and creating content. But nobody, like, I work with various people on their specialism, but nobody seemed to be helping me or other people in my situation with what they were actually offering. And I think that's a thing that's particularly hard for service-based business owners and not product-based business owners. Product-based business owners have their own issues. But when you have a product-based business, you've got the product. Hopefully, you've already done the testing and trialing and tweaking and making sure your physical product is fit for market and people actually want it. And you are just trying to sell as many as you can, get in front of the right people, get in front of the right audience who might want your stuff. Whereas when you're a service-based business owner, that proposition that you're putting out there, that actually takes quite a while to work out what exactly is going to work. How do you position it? How do you put it together? What's the price? What's the messaging around it? Why should somebody buy it? And there's a lot more that goes into it, I now realize, than you might first think. So I like many people, I see people jumping into the social media, jumping into trying to create an audience, build an audience, and they don't actually know what they're selling at all.
Yeah, and so really it's about making sure that what the service that you are offering is one that people want to buy.
Yeah. And another, I mean, I've done this several times over the last few years, but it's so tempting to sell people what you know they need. Oh, you need to do this, buy this. Can you not? Why can't you see? You need to buy this. And you go into education mode. You're like, well, can I not just explain why you need to do it like this? And I need to help you like this. And actually, the way to sell something, the way to engage people is talk about what they want. And everybody makes purchases based on their emotion first. So connecting with what they want and then saying, okay, so this is what you want. And in the very discussion, in the very way that you present that and engage them with that conversation, what do you actually want? They then understand that you're the right person for them.
Yeah.
And you can do that whole sort of put off people who you're not for and attract people who you are for. And then you can say, right, you want this outcome? I know what you need to do.
Yeah.
Work with me. I'll take you through these steps. But they're not ready for the steps until they've made the decision that you're the right person for them.
They've made that emotional decision. Because I'm just wondering, in terms of what I do, which is obviously voice and presentation and building people's confidence around speaking in public to whatever audience that may be, I've done a couple of articles recently telling people what they need. This is the way of the world now. We need to be visible. We need to show personality. We need to be confident. And actually what you were saying is I need to stop telling them what they need and find out what it is that they want, which I assume for me would be they want to feel more confident when they stand up in front of an audience.
Yeah, I think there's a place in amongst your content for that kind of explanation. I do think there's a place for it, but if you're going to talk about, I suppose it's nearer the point of sale. If for instance you were writing a sales page, you would start with a call out to exactly who you're trying to appeal to, and empathize with where they are, and sort of say, yes, you are here. Either I've been here myself, or my clients have been in your shoes, and I can understand what you're going through, and I understand that this is what you want. So for an example, for you, it might be that why do they want to get more confident? Why do they want to be able to be confident speaking? Is it because they want more speaking gigs? Is it because they want to do themselves justice? Do they want to be proud of themselves? Is it something to do with their business? Do they want to establish themselves as an authority? Do they want to launch a book in the future? All these things, which probably, if you get to know when you work with more and more clients, and when you realize that there's a certain section of clients you really enjoy working with, who have certain personalities and certain there's themes, isn't there? Then you might come across a client, you're like, oh dear, I do not gel with that person for some reason. You sort of think, okay, these people I do gel with, and we click because of these reasons. Then you theme your offer around that.
Yeah. And I know in a conversation we had at You Are the Media Network that we met in person at a couple of weeks back,
yes.
a month ago actually, that you've slightly pivoted, horrible word, let's not use that word. You've slightly changed your offer to selling, packaging people's offers.
Yeah.
So what was that transition? Why is that? Did you think that is more important?
What I did, I mean, it does look like a pivot. Horrible word. But I think we all know what we mean by pivot.
Yeah.
It looked like a change of direction, but actually it was a tightening of my position, basically, because when I looked at what I actually did, because I was calling myself a marketing coach for a year or so, I was trying the title on, seeing whether it fitted. It was too broad. I mean, I'm a marketer, and unfortunately marketers are often the worst at doing their own messaging and marketing. It's so hard to do your own thing. And I did actually go to somebody else, a messaging expert, and say, look, please help me. What do I do for people? What do I do? And I just talked at her, and she said, oh, you help people with their offers. And I was like, yes, I do. Yes. How has that been hidden from me for so long? That is actually what I have been helping people do. Okay, I do also help people promote themselves, promote their offers. If they need help audience building, then yes, sometimes it goes into branding and that kind of thing. But actually, the core of what I am doing is making sure that what they are offering to people is packaged up in an attractive way. It's packaged up as a must-have now, not a maybe next year nice to have. And it's offers that my clients enjoy delivering and are passionate about and proud of, and their clients see the value of, and it clicks with them, and they make that emotional connection because of the way the offer is packaged up. So it's kind of what I was doing all along. And it took me working with somebody else for me to realize that's what I've been doing all along. And now I'm saying, oh, it's felt really natural. It's like, yes. This is what I'm doing. It's not new. It's just clearer.
Yes. Yeah. And I had a situation similar to that. I was in a breakout room on an online course I was doing with two women, and we were explaining what we did to the other people just to see if they knew what it was that we did. And so I explained what it was I did, and I said, okay, ladies, what is it that I do? And one said, you help people market themselves effectively, which I hadn't even considered. And the other one said, you help people show up powerfully in the world. And I thought, oh, I like that. But yeah, it's not until you actually ask somebody what it is that they think you do that you get that clarity yourself.
Yeah. It is. It's a bit circular, isn't it?
Yeah. And it was, I realized that it was something that I'd always been doing, but I didn't know how to describe it or how to do that. So why did you move then from the corporate world and decide to start your own business?
Well, the simple answer and the short answer is I fell pregnant with my first child, and I was intending to go back to work. And then I just thought, I can't be bothered. It's a commute into London, and I just thought, gosh, the commute. And then it was one of these typical motherhood journeys where when I first fell pregnant, I wasn't particularly maternal. I was like, oh gosh, am I going to go do a good enough job? Maybe, it would be better for me to go back to work and then hire a professional to look after my child during the day, because I've never done this before. I've got no experience of children. And then I put in for 9 months of maternity leave, and a few months in I was like, how can anyone possibly look after my child as well as me? They won't know what his favorite toy is, they won't know how to sing to him. And it flipped, and I thought, I don't want to go back to work. I'd rather stay at home with him for the foreseeable. It didn't take too long before I was seeking other stuff, though. I was like, oh, okay, well, he's got a nap. What do I do with my brain while he's having a nap? So, I had another child a couple of years later, and as soon as she started going to nursery, I was looking for things to do, and I was sticking my nose into my friends. So a few friends set up their own businesses, service-based businesses, and I was just like, oh, why are you doing that? That doesn't make any sense. And why are you using that advertising? And then I thought, do you know what? I should just, stop bothering my friends and actually set up a business.
Yeah.
to help people who actually want the help.
Yeah. I mean, obviously I've followed you for a couple of years on, I've stalked you basically on LinkedIn and other places. And I know we know a few sort of connections with Tricia Lewis and you on the media and things like that. But I think it was Tricia that mentioned you to me for the crazy videos and the dressing up and the performing side. So what made you think that was a good idea? What did you, I mean, and it, it has made you, stand out from the crowd. It's your brand, it's this kind of fun side of marketing. But what was the thought process behind that?
I mean, there was very little thought, if I'm honest. There weren't many thoughts. The story goes that a friend of mine on LinkedIn, who was at the time, she was doing more video than me, and she had a guy say to her, do you know what? I teach people how to use video. Would you like some free feedback, to get more impact and more response and more whatever leads and whatever you want from video? And she said, oh, go on then, I'm open to feedback. And the feedback he gave her was so specific and personal that she posted about it on LinkedIn and said, come on, let's have a discussion. Let's have a mature discussion. Do you think a man would have got this feedback? Am I taking it too personally? And it was things like, your voice is too high. You sound like a primary school teacher. Try lowering your voice on video. Wear different clothes because you look too young. I mean, this is a woman in her 30s. Not that it matters. She could have been 20. But you look too young. Perhaps wear sort of older looking clothes and perhaps a set of pearls.
Oh,
I mean,
God.
it was so specific. It was hysterical. It was absolutely hysterical. So she responded really maturely and put this video on and said, what do we think about this? My response was just like, this is so hilarious, with feedback, that I now want to go on video with a set of pearls. Also, he said, put more makeup on. So I put a plastered makeup on, put on a stupid voice. I couldn't help myself. It really did not feel like the right thing to do. Put a silly video on LinkedIn. Nobody was doing silly videos. I mean, there's loads of people dressing up on LinkedIn now, but at the time nobody was doing it. And it was just a gut reaction. I must take the mickey out of this feedback because it's hilarious. So I did a little short video of me saying, oh, this is how you become, a credible expert, and lots of makeup and set of pearls and that kind of thing. And I just pressed publish, and I was like, oh my God, I've just ruined my business. I couldn't help it. And the reaction I got was astronomical. It was like so many people said it was hilarious and really funny. And you know, one woman personally messaged me and said, thank you very much. That's the first time I've laughed in months and months, because I've been going through cancer treatment and nothing, just haven't found anything funny, and that made me laugh. So thank you. And I was like, oh my God, I'm a comedy genius. I should do this more. I have a gift. Yeah.
Well, we'll come on to that, but I just talking about the reaction you get from LinkedIn when you post stuff. I mean, I have to show this photograph.
Yeah.
So you posted this not long ago, and I think it was after a bit of a hiatus that you had, and you came back with this. A fantastic photograph, and it made me smile when I saw it. And yeah, just explain a little bit about the reaction that why you posted it, and yeah, what reaction you got to it.
Well, like many people, especially people with children that they were homeschooling, I haven't had as much time and energy for social media. So I hadn't been posting any videos, barely any photos of myself, which is part of my brand now. And like, my face is all over everything. So I thought, you know, the kids are back at school. I had a bit more energy. I was like, right, here I am. I'm back. I'm going to be doing videos. Let's reintroduce myself. People groan at those reintroduction posts, but they're such a good idea. You might have connected with new people. Anyway, I did one of those reintroduction posts, you know, hi, it's me. You might not recognize me. I've had my hair cut and things. And I wrote it all, and I was looking for a photo to attach. And I just couldn't find any. All of them, the ones I've taken recently with my hair short, were me that I've taken for thumbnails and things. There were no just sort of candid ones of me not posed. So that one, I thought, oh, I'll have a look at my holiday snaps. So that one was taken by my sister on holiday. We go on holiday every year as a family. And I thought, oh God, it's not very flattering. It's not very flattering, but it's the only one it's the only one that was kind of candid and unposed, without me sort of pointing with a sort of an ugly background. So I posted it sort of on a whim. I just thought, oh, that will do. You know, hopefully not many people will see it.
And how many views did it get?
Oh yeah, it's had 8,000 views, I think, by the last look. Wow. Which is one of my better performing posts recently.
And why do you think that is? Why do you think those kind of posts, you know, a bit like the dress up one in the beginning? Why do you think people resonate with those?
I think it's a pattern interrupt. I think it's like oh. So I had some people comment, you know, oh, I didn't expect to see that on LinkedIn. It was a bit of a, you know, most people who are sharing photos of themselves, they are trying to look presentable. Whereas that's like me pulling a really, really stupid face to my sister and not actually expecting to share it. It was just one of those things that I decided to put it on there. So I think like, yeah, it was a bit of a pattern interrupt, and they could probably tell I was just being myself and just mucking about. I wasn't putting anything on. I wasn't putting on an act. Honestly, you point a camera at me, I will pull a silly face.
Yeah.
It's just my just my reaction.
Well, I'm going to show the audience here that are watching a couple more photographs just to illustrate that point. But, you know, for those of you that are listening to this on a listening audio only platform, you're just going to have to come to YouTube and have a look at these photos, or go onto Janine's website and have a look, because you are very good at pointing.
I like pointing.
You do like pointing, and yeah, here's another pointy. And here we go again. I think just pointing behind that, but yeah, I mean, you're just so exuberant with it. It just, you know, it's you, it's your brand, and it's just.
I've got a story about those photos with the yellow top on.
Yeah.
I'm doing this because I realised midway through the photo shoot I had a big stain under my boob.
Can we, oh, no,
I had to like cover. I was covering.
well, yeah, well hidden.
Yeah,
Well hidden.
there's
Yeah.
a reason for everything.
So it's obviously been a conscious decision to come across in this sort of very bright, exuberant way. How did that come to you? And is that something that, coming from the corporate background, that you suddenly feel like you've kind of been a bit unleashed?
Yeah, I mean, I have to say that first video of me mucking about with the Pearlgate, that was the biggest sort of unleashing of the real me. I think up until then, I'd been writing posts and I'd found my voice, I'd found my tone of voice, and I was writing sort of tongue in cheek, and I was approaching sort of sounding like me. But the video was really like, this is it, this is me. I am silly, I like fun, and I had sort of written down in a corporate style, because I am an ex-corporate marketer. I wrote down what I wanted my brand to be like. What did I want my brand to stand for? And positivity was one of them. I just want to chuck out positivity. I just, I want to be a radiator for sort of fun and positive. And when people say they see my stuff and smile, that's half of the job, really. Not everybody will be in a position to work with me, want to work with me, even need to work with me. But if they see my posts and smile, that makes me feel good as well.
Excellent. Yeah, I love that. That's so nice. I mean, and in terms of sort of confidence, you were saying that you found the confidence you had at primary school. Because I'm a big believer in playing as adults. I'm a drama tutor. I've been, and I love getting in a room with a group of adults and just getting. I don't always play myself, but I love to watch other people play. So I get them doing improvisation and stuff like that. And yeah, I think it's so important. And it does go back to what I was doing at primary school and how I enjoyed myself and how I played. And so is that something that you have come back to?
Yeah, I just think when I think about myself in primary school, I was bold as brass, full of fun, larking about, trying to make people laugh, eager to get in front of an audience. And then you sort of get older, and I was always told, I mean, I'm sure a lot of people had this: don't show off in front of your friends, stop showing off, let your sister have a go, this kind of thing. And you learn, it was like, oh, okay, you're not meant to push yourself out, you're not meant to boast, you're not meant to be the center of attention. And that was, I mean, it wasn't just that. I had not a great time in secondary school. It wasn't the worst, but it was not fun. And it took me a long time to realize, I don't know, I lost myself a bit. And then it really, as I hit my 30s, then I started, I don't know what happened. Maybe it was having the kids and just got comfortable with myself, and then bit by bit I started finding my way home.
Yeah.
And then the whole, I mean, it sounds ridiculous, doesn't it? I found myself on LinkedIn. I learned to love myself. I found self-love on LinkedIn. They should have me as a campaign.
Yeah.
The face of an advertising campaign. But yes, that was the real final step almost. It was like, oh my God, I'm completely myself. I'm being a complete idiot. People are enjoying it.
Yeah.
I'm enjoying it. And this feels like the real me. I'm finally back to the real me, and happy to, I get nervous about speaking gigs and that kind of thing. But I think that's normal.
Yes.
But I'm like, yay, this is me. I'm being me, and I can be normal. I don't have to put a mask on. Yeah.
And I mean, I think people out there listening will think that that's unusual on LinkedIn to actually kind of find that. But I certainly have over the last year. I've connected with more people on LinkedIn. I've been to more networking through LinkedIn, and it kind of gives you the confidence to be yourself. And, you know, that LinkedIn is sort of a very kind of, what people assume is that kind of staid business, you know, where I didn't come from a corporate background. I didn't come from a business background. I came from a drama and theatre background. So it was all a bit alien to me. So I spent the first year trying to speak, trying to look the part, you know, all of those things. And actually, that's not what people want. That's not why people connect with you. They don't, you know, they come to you because you're bright and positive and enthusiastic, and that's what they love about you. They don't want to see corporate Janine. They don't want to see you in a, you know, in your twin set and pearls. You know, they want to see the real you. And actually, that's something that I think does build confidence in people. And so if you were giving people advice on how to find their own voice, because obviously this is not for everybody, you know, pointing and dressing up and, you know, doing their brand the way that you do yours, what advice would you give to someone to sort of be able to find what it is that makes their brand unique?
I think find a medium that you enjoy. Like, I have clients that are writers. I have clients that are definitely not writers. So find, you know, do you enjoy talking? Do you enjoy writing? Do you enjoy video? And just start exploring your thoughts and your opinions and your approach on things. And specifically, like, I love that point you're making. You don't have to be out there. You don't have to be exuberant. That's not everybody. Not everybody wants to be silly or lark about. Some people are a bit, you know, are more thoughtful, maybe even academic. So it's nice to seek people out like that, and sort of then you can sort of see how other people approach it. Because I know loads of, for instance, introverts, and they're still showing up and they're still showing their face. They're not necessarily on video, but they're sharing their voice, they're sharing their point of view, and they're just coming at it from a much calmer perspective. There are loads of people out there like that you can perhaps take courage from and go, oh, okay, there's another way to do it. And, you know, I think that must be encouraging to see people like that.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, you see a lot of this. I've heard a lot of people recently say that I'm an introvert that has to be extroverted, you know, in order to sell. But I think you're right. I think it's just finding something that you're comfortable with. Because I think even the people that we look at and think, oh, they're really extrovert, most of the time they're not. You know, we all have a quiet side. I certainly do. You know, I don't like putting myself out there on video necessarily because it's just a perfection thing, isn't it? I certainly suffer from that kind of, well, I'm not putting it out if it's not perfect, which is one reason I love doing the podcast, is because I can just talk and be me, and I don't worry about that, because it's not about me, it's about you.
Yeah.
So really, you know, that kind of pressure is taken off, and I can understand people feeling that. But I think you're right. I think everybody needs to find their own way of selling what it is that they do. Yeah. So you recently have done lives, which is something again that I need to do and I have been meaning to do for a long time. How has that been? Because you did like 26 days. You did every single day, every single letter of the alphabet.
Yes, I did take my birthday off. I thought, you know what, I'm gonna take today off. It was good because it forced me to do it every day, and I got back into the habit of it. And it, you know, as I've mentioned, I hadn't been as active
Was that
previously.
7 days a week? Or did you
Yes.
it was 7 days.
Yeah, I did Saturday and Sunday as well, which my husband was really happy about. He's like, "What, are you going to do it the weekend? What if we have to go out?" And I was like, "Oh, it's fine." I have to say, towards the end, I switched to video. Technical LinkedIn stuff. I wasn't getting very good reach on the live platform, so I switched to video towards the end. But yes, I learned a lot.
What
I
did you
think
learn? What was the major
well, I
takeaway?
mean, technical stuff about live video on LinkedIn. I was going live on Facebook as well, but I think it would have lent itself better to a regular slot, like once a week I'm going to go live about this topic. and build up the audience over time so people could expect me to be there. And I think I was doing like little snippets. I was doing short videos, whereas lives, I think the point of a 1 hour live per week is not that people turn up for the whole hour. They have the opportunity to dip in and out, and people who dip in and listen a bit can comment, and that kind of gets the algorithm going. Whereas I was nipping on, and by the time people had noticed I was online, then I was off. And then there's technical things about LinkedIn Live. You can't comment. I couldn't comment. So if I saw people comment, I couldn't reply. I had to go in on my phone. Oh, it's awful. They need to fix it.
Talk to John. John Esperian, let him know.
Yeah. John ought to go in there and sort them out. But no, it was really good. And it was an interesting experiment, just having to approach my topic, my chosen subject of offers, from 26 slightly different angles.
Yeah,
which really helped. I was like, oh, okay. I feel like I need to write 26 blogs now, because as I was talking, I was like, oh my gosh, I have so much more to say about this. So I think I've got a long list of blogs that I want to write now.
Yeah, get them recorded, get them transcripts out there. Because I think I watched certainly. I watched a few, and it must have been very difficult, because I think even in A, which was audience, you were swayed by niching, which was obviously the N. So it's like, well, no, I can't talk about that now because I've been talking about that then. So that must have been quite difficult to.
Yeah, it was an exercise in keeping on topic, to be honest with you.
Yeah,
I think I noticed that I do stray off topic. But yes, I did. I was like, I must only talk about this thing, and that is coming. Don't talk about that, Janine. It's coming. It's coming. I can't give N away. I can't give Y away.
Yeah, difficult, but a discipline, as you say, probably worth doing. Yeah, and then that kind of led up to a webinar that you did.
Yes.
And so that just seems to me, and as a marketer, you might be able to obviously tell me what kind of ROI you would get by doing that sort of consistent live for 26 days and then the webinar. And then, I mean, I'm just really for our listeners to kind of, because I certainly am thinking about, should I do a webinar? Should I do a 5-day challenge? But what is the ROI, do you think, the return on investment of you actually putting that time in
it's really tricky.
So at the end.
Yeah, it's really, really tricky. So, I mean, it depends. I'm still working through the calls that were booked as a result of the webinar. So I don't know how many, I can't, yet say, okay, I've got X pounds of revenue as a result of all this effort. What I can tell you is I had some people approach me the result of the webinar was I was launching my group program. Your Sizzling Hot Offer is the name of it. But in September, I had quite a few calls booked in for people wanting to work with me one-to-one. And I know, because of they told me that they saw me doing the lives. And I think it's one of these things, it's a reassuring thing. It's like, okay, I've just started to work with a sales and marketing expert. She's there, she's doing it, she's open with her thoughts. I can dip into what she's doing. I can see people commenting. And I think it has this sort of halo effect on, people who are already deciding whether to work with you or not.
Yeah. So it's not even, sometimes it's not even monetary. It's kind of.
No. Yeah. And I started doing the 26 days for visibility. That was one of the main reasons. It was like, come on, I've been off video practically for 2 years. I need to get my face back on there.
Yeah.
And so that was predominantly why I did it. I was just like, I need people to remember who I am.
Yes.
So that was actually the number one reason. And I thought, well, I might as well culminate it in a webinar.
Yeah. Yeah, brilliant. I was just thinking about, obviously, when I first saw you on video, you had that very sort of straight fringe and the it was a very, very specific look. Whereas now you've come back 2 years later, it's a lot softer. And is that something that sort of happened naturally, or is that something that you decided to do?
No, as with all of your questions I seem to be answering them with no. There was no thought process at all. What happened was a few months ago, my hair had grown down to my elbows.
Well, we got this.
Yeah,
Oh,
you can't see it there, but it's down my back. It's down my
yeah.
back. So it'd grown down to my elbows because of lockdown, and I couldn't be bothered to go to the hairdresser, and I was moving house. Actually, I had it cut before I moved house. And I thought, I'll donate it. I'll donate it to charity, because there's those charities that make wigs for kids who are going through chemo and what have you. I thought I'll just cut it off. I'd always been thinking about it, but I'd never grown my hair long enough. I thought that might as well. I'll go for a short bob, and I had my friend's hairdresser over to my house where there's no mirrors, and I just assumed she'd done this before, so I didn't really brief her very well. And she put the ponytails in. I couldn't see where she'd done it. She'd done it quite high, and she just hacked it off and said, "Oh, we're going to have to go shorter than a bob."
Oh no!
Because I've cut it at an angle, so we're going to have to go shorter. I was like, "Oh my goodness, okay." Okay, breathe. I started sweating profusely. And looking back, I'm just like, why didn't you just stop, and we could have had a chat and say, okay, this has happened. Let's see what our options are. But instead, she just started snipping. Hair was flying. I was like, oh my God. And she said, oh, I used to have a feathered bob. No, a feathered crop. I used to have a feathered crop. And I was like, number one, I did not want a crop. She didn't need to go that short. And number two, feathered is not a hairstyle that I wanted to be associated with. But anyway, I mean, she asked me if I wanted a photo of the end result. And honestly, I was mortified. She'd done it round with a round brush. I looked properly frumpy. Really, really, really frumpy. I just couldn't, I mean, I put my face out there looking like a right old numpty, but I was like, I can't have anyone seeing me like this. It was so embarrassing. I ran upstairs as soon as she'd gone. As soon as I said thank you very much and gave her money, because that's what we do, isn't it?
Yes. No, we do.
Thank you. Goodbye. Here's your money. I ran upstairs and stuck my head under the shower. So I do have a picture of the after I've stuck my head under the shower. It was very, very short. But now,
yeah, I mean, it's great. It's obviously grown out.
Yeah, it's. Do you know, I quite like it.
I think it's nice. I mean, I didn't recognize you when I saw you in person at You Are the Media from the videos.
Yeah, it's very different, isn't it?
Yes, I was very used to seeing you with that kind of very regimented bob, and actually, it's just a lot softer and a lot nicer. So yeah. I'd go with it.
I feel like she might have done me a favor. I didn't want to admit it at the time, but she might have done me a favor. It's released me, because I felt like I couldn't show. See, you get in the vanity now. You think I'm not vain. I am. I was worried that my forehead behind my fringe had got too wrinkly. So I thought, I can't now go without my fringe, because people will see all my wrinkles.
No, it's lovely. See, I just, well, my hair changes from week to week, so nobody quite knows what I'm going to turn up with. But yeah, it's part of your brand, isn't it, really?
Yeah.
And so tell me a little bit about what you wanted to be when you grew up. Because there's definitely a performer in you, and I know you sing, and obviously there's all the stuff with the video. So is that what it was? What did you want to be, say, when you were like 9 years old?
I don't know whether I'd have said this, but looking back, I think I did want to be French and Saunders, one or the other, or both, somehow. I used to reenact their sketches with a friend of mine who was I think she was quite reluctant, to be honest with you. I think she just went on along with what I was doing. But but I think I said, I mean, my dad was a policeman, and he used to come back and just sound like he was having a whale of a time, having a laugh with his mates. And I thought, that sounds like good. So I did say at one point I wanted to be a policeman. Nothing solid. Nothing I stuck with.
No. So why marketing then? How did that happen?
I did a business degree because I couldn't decide what to do. I couldn't decide. I used to envy like people who wanted to be a doctor, or people who wanted to do something specific so that they could work towards something, but I didn't have anything solid. So after doing not very well in my A-levels, I just thought I would choose something that was flexible, that could go in several different directions. And the business degree I did, you got a taste of HR, you got a taste of sort of operations, you got a taste of accounting, computing even, and marketing seemed the most fun. It seemed the most creative. And yeah, so the final year you got to choose your modules. I chose all marketing modules.
Yeah. I mean, I think there's, it definitely comes across that there's a certain amount of creativity in you, that obviously needed to come out somewhere. I'm just on this thing at the moment that actually we all kind of, whatever we were doing as kids, we eventually come back to, because we go through that, we go through secondary school where we all kind of get squashed, to quote Trisha, and like you were saying, I don't think anybody has a fantastic experience in secondary school. I think all that kind of creativity and play is discouraged. So by the time we come out, we are then looking at what we should do, what other people expect us to do, what we think we should do. And so by the time you get, maybe into your 30s, into your 40s, you start thinking, well, maybe, there's something out there that I really want to do. And then I think we kind of come back to it. Would you agree?
Yeah, I think you do. It is weird. But I think me larking about on video, I'm not doing so much of that now, but I will be trying to find ways to weave comedy into what I do. And when I write, I try and have a laugh, and I write with it's very tongue in cheek, some of my stuff. I'm a little bit sarcastic, or we were discussing earlier, I like to do tongue in cheek bravado and pretend that I'm really, really arrogant sometimes, sort of counteract the sort of, oh, not me, don't look at me. Sort of go the other way, but it's always tongue in cheek.
Yes. Yeah. It's kind of trying to find the diva in you. I quite often have to dredge up a diva from somewhere, just, to put yourself out there.
Yeah. But yeah, I agree with you. I think, who you are in primary school is probably who you are.
Yeah.
And you're sort of bent out of shape in sort of maybe your teens and 20s, and then you come back to yourself.
Yeah.
Quite a few people, I agree with you. I've quite a few people I've had this conversation with, and they say the same. It's funny, isn't it?
Yeah.
It's funny, or it's a shame, one or the other.
Just go for it. So what is the favorite then, writing or video, or what do you enjoy most?
Oh, that's tricky. I really, really enjoyed the videos. But I think the way I'll approach it now, I really have gotten into the writing. I think that I'm not a prolific blog writer, but when I do, it allows me to really think about my opinion or my point of view on a certain topic. And it allows me I like thinking about the research. I like trying to make concepts clear. I like to get rid of jargon. And then I think what I'll do in future is I'll write the blog first, and then I'll produce the videos.
Yeah.
I think that would be the more logical way around to do it.
Yeah. And that's something I'm thinking of as well. The stuff that I've written is where is the outlet for that? Because as you say, when you're writing stuff, I love writing. When you're writing stuff, you can kind of put all your thoughts out there. And then in the process of editing, you really kind of find the essence of what it is that you're trying to say. And then that's my thing next, is how then is it video, is it solo podcast? I've never really done one where I'm just talking to the camera, or which I suppose is a video.
Yeah.
So it's that for me is the creative side of it. And I've the podcast I was doing as Atticus Arts, which was my incarnation before lockdown, was really about people's creativity and how people in business use their creativity without even really realizing it. Because so many people I speak to go, well, I'm not creative at all. And they assume that, they get mixed up between artists and painters and musicians, and actually being creative, which is what you do, what I do, just in writing and putting your thoughts out there, doing the research, all of those things, I think is creative.
Yeah, it's funny you should say that, because before doing the videos, I didn't think of myself as creative either.
How silly of you. So what's next? I know that the webinar that you did is going to be available on replay, because I'd love to watch that. I missed it first time round. So
yes, officially it's going to expire today, but I could do a little. If your listeners were interested, they could get in contact and I could send them a replay maybe. But yes, I can put you on the VIP guest list.
fabulous. Oh, that'd be lovely.
Yes. So the webinar was about 4 different elements in your business. And I found it quite frustrating that I was, as usual, trying to jam too much in. So I think I'll do another version of the webinar, which is helping people understand whether offers is the right thing to be focusing on right now, but focus purely on the offers. And I might turn into some sort of quiz, because I just love a quiz. I think everybody likes a little quick quiz fix, and you can work out, is this something I need to work on? Is it not? Can I, where should I be focusing on my efforts? I do have a speaking gig coming up next month, but I don't know whether I'm officially allowed to talk about it. So I'm just going to tantalizingly say that I'm very excited about it. And I haven't written the talk yet. So I'm like,
Do you have a theme? I mean, obviously you have a theme. It's marketing.
Yeah, it's going to be packaging up services, offers, something like that. But it's what angle to take.
Yes. Yeah, I mean, this is something, again, I'm thinking about doing, and I'd love to really concentrate or spend the time, because it does take time, doesn't it, to put these things together, to do the research, to find, the best way, the most entertaining way to actually educate, really.
That's it, and strip it back. I tell my clients not to do this, but I do it myself. Stuff too much in.
Yeah.
You try and, I want to tell them about this, and I want to help them with this, and that means that I have to talk about this. And actually, we're far better off in a half an hour slot telling them one thing.
Yes.
Just tell them one thing and tell an engaging story. Maybe have some stats. Maybe have some useful, supporting evidence, and then shut up.
Yes, good advice. That's a great tip, actually. Talk about one thing, because as you say, and I do it myself in workshops that I run. You try to get everything into an hour.
You want to give value, don't you? You're trying to give as much value as possible, but in doing so, you're giving them less value somehow, because they're not going to absorb all of it. They're going to be better off absorbing one useful thing, aren't they?
Yeah. Yeah, and this is obviously what I tell people about when they're doing these talks, is to slow down and not to be frightened of pauses, because your audience needs a chance to actually listen to what it is that you've said and take in what it is that you've said. And in order to do that, you're going to have to jettison some of your stuff, because you can't do that and fit in, 6 different subjects all in that half an hour. So
it might have been Trisha Lewis that told me this, but apparently when you first stand in front of an audience, you almost just have to stand there for a few seconds so people can look at you, because anything you say, they're not going to listen to. They're looking at you. They're like, who is this person? What do I know about them? They're reading your physical cues. This, so you almost just have to stand there and say, okay, look at me. And then, and then talk a few seconds later.
Yeah. And let's just hope they keep applauding while you're standing there. It's just not this awkward tumbleweed silence.
Oh, that would be awkward. But, you have to just sit with it, because if it is silence, it's because they're just looking at you. This is what humans do. It's just like, okay, who's this person? What do I think?
Another fantastic piece of advice, actually. What do you do for your own well-being? I know you've just moved to a lovely house with a woodland. So tell us. Yes, tell us about the woodland. I did watch one of the alphabets. I think it was E. You got to E, and I can't remember how the story went, but you ended up showing the audience your garden through the window.
Yeah, as it's reasonably common knowledge now that humans, even when we're making quite seemingly rational purchase decisions, we're actually making the decision based on emotion first, and then backing it up with the rational reasons. And I often use the example of us moving to this particular house. We had these must-haves on our list, and then we saw the garden, and it came with a little woodland as part of the garden, and we just couldn't say no. We were like, oh my God, we have to buy this house. It's in the wrong area. The layout's not what we wanted. It doesn't have a kitchen diner. It doesn't have this. It doesn't have that. But we fell in love with the garden, and we just had that massive emotional pull that we were like, oh, we have to have this garden. And it does have a little woodland at the bottom, and it's delightful. It was my daughter's birthday at the weekend, and we had some friends over, and we had a little very well contained little fire, and in the woodland, and toasted marshmallows, and then went to the end where all the badgers are, and we saw the badgers. They come out at night. It was lovely.
Oh, well, what about hedgehogs? You're a bit of a hedgehog.
We think we have got hedgehogs because we have seen some hedgehog poo around, but we haven't actually seen them. We haven't actually seen them themselves. Badgers do eat hedgehogs, so I don't know how many hedgehogs are surviving around here, to be honest.
Yeah. So in terms of the fact that on your to-do list, on your wish list for this house, this very, very special place that you've moved to, are you settled there now and thinking you made the right decision? So the garden was, in terms of school catchment, all of those things, everything that you were moving to, all that research that you did, all those needs and wants, and you've ended up with a house that doesn't really tickle those boxes, but the garden does. So are there any regrets?
No, the best schools, we're not in the catchment for the best secondary schools, but there's a secondary school which is within catchment. It looks good, and the happiness ratings are good, and we've just decided, it's just all the rationality of, we rationalized it all. I didn't go to a particularly good secondary school. I was fine, and this sort of thing. But no, it's really, really lovely. It's really lovely. Everybody's very friendly around here. And the kids primary school, they're both in primary school. We came from a really amazing primary school where we were. I just didn't think there was any way that they would enjoy it as much, but they seem to prefer it. Don't know why.
Brilliant. Yeah. Well, they've got this gorgeous garden that they can.
Well, it helps.
Yeah. Bring all their friends back to. But I think you're absolutely right. That happiness scale sometimes is just, so much more important than what we think we should have. And it comes back to, what you think you should and what other people expect you to have. And you kind of go, no, well, actually, this is what's good for us. This is, this is number 10 on our happiness scale.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, it took me a while to settle in, but now I'm like, yes, I feel more relaxed, and I feel like I'm getting there now. Took me a while.
Brilliant. Well, just before we end here today, tell us where people can connect with you. I've got a couple of, I think I've got your website. Is that your website? Let's put that up and see if there we go. So that's the website. Where else can people find you?
Say hello on LinkedIn. It's linkedin.com/in/Janine Coombes. Oh, ticker tape.
Look at that. Oh, don't you just love StreamYard?
Well, you've got all the gadgets. When I was using StreamYard, I didn't investigate all these bells and bangles. They're brilliant.
Yes. Yeah, it doesn't help for the people that are listening at home. Check us out on YouTube, on Power to Speak, the podcast on YouTube channel. So you've got a YouTube channel yourself, haven't you?
I do. It's just got my old videos on there. I don't use it as a main content outlet at the moment.
Yeah.
I may well be in the future, but not at the moment.
Well, thank you so much for your time today, Janine. It's been lovely to talk to you. Enjoy the rest of your week, and thank you so much for being here.
Thanks so much, Jackie. It's been a pleasure.
You're welcome.